Just before I begin, I wanna obviously say that these are my personal opinions. I mean no disrespect to any of the idols mentioned. I'm gonna go through each one pretty quickly to cover as many as I can. So let's begin. Number 1. Lisa is kind of overrated. I think this is unpopular and might get me killed, but that's what I think. I don't know if it's YG or what, but her raps just aren't great. Maybe it's because of the downright bad lyrics, but regardless, there are much better rappers in K-pop. As far as her dancing goes, she's a monster on stage, she gives her all, but she's not close to being the best dancer in K-pop. There are at least 5 girls that come to mind that are better dancers. I genuinely love Lisa, but people gas her up too much. I also think the way people talk about her compared to the other members of Blackpink is disproportionate. I actually don't think she has more stage presence. I agree she's a better dancer, but I'm constantly bewildered by this idea that Lisa is head and shoulders above the other members. I just don't see it. Number 2. Much of Jungkook's solo releases literally sound like they're generated from AI. It's as if someone's just said, make me a generic sounding Western pop song. So much of his solo work, including quite a few songs from his new album, literally sound like this. Like he's been listening to nothing but Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, and Maroon 5 on loop for the past 10 years. It's just so generic sounding. Overuse of head voice and auto-tune, thirst trap lyrics, and random artist features for seemingly no other reason than to get more streams. As I said in my review of his new album Golden, it's generic songwriting, with generic production, and generic song structure. Simultaneously underwritten and overproduced. Various producers all use their favorite vocal plugins and processors, so he sounds like a different singer on every track. It's just so catered towards the Western audience. Number 3. Yoon Posse's Macaroni Cheese is not sexual. The moment this song and video dropped, the newly debuted group faced backlash for the lyrics. Take a look online and you'll see that the general consensus is that it's sexual. I argue the opposite. In their reaction video, they say, and I quote, "This song began with something so trivial, with us just spitting out random words, and we wrote this song with literally any thought that came up on our mind. To see this song turn into something so grandiose, into a full video really feels so unbelievable." They said it themselves, they were just throwing out words and phrases with no deeper meaning, probably just to fill up 3 minutes of a song. The creator of the music video even said himself, there is no deeper meaning than macaroni and cheese. I get a general feeling that sexual innuendos, especially with food, are much more prevalent in Western culture than Korean culture. It's worth mentioning here that none of the girls speak English. These girls are really talented at dancing and rapping, and it's disheartening to see that their careers are already being affected. Number 4. Jisoo shouldn't sing so many high notes. You can see how she struggles to hit some high notes in clarity, for example. It's not that she is completely unable to do it, but the parts where her voice shines the most is when she's singing lower notes. Other examples include her Sure Thing cover in live presentations, Kiss and Makeup, and in See You Later. All I see is people praising her singing skills when most of the time she is struggling. Producers keep getting her to sing like a young girl when she has a more mature voice. But to be fair, most idols aren't technically proficient enough to sing into the 5th octave and sound good. Jisoo's tone is just more suitable for R&B. Number 5. ITZY had one of the worst fall-offs in history. Ever since Mafia, ITZY has been on a steep decline in quality and popularity. Remember when they were thought to be the poster girl groups of 4th generation? Fast forward to the present day, and they arguably have the worst back-to-back comebacks with Boys Like You, Sneakers, Cake etc. JYP's marketing to target international fans have led their entire concept astray. The Korean audience just don't automatically check out their songs upon release anymore, unlike other 4th gen groups. So it's like they have to climb their way up the charts through promotion and the likability of a song to get their new releases going. It's very typical from K-pop fans. As soon as the new batch of 4th gen groups were teased, people moved on. Number 6. IVE's styling this year is their worst yet. Their styling from previous years garnered heavy criticism, and there has been a lot of praise for their music video and promotional looks, especially Baddie. But I think their earlier styling was much more cohesive with the concept, unique, and fitting with the girls. I don't think any of the looks this year are terrible, but the only looks I've enjoyed are the gray sets. Other than that, I found most outfits to be too derivative of current trends in K-pop, hackneyed, or poorly executed. I think IVE's fashion married much better with their music before. Loved IVE, Afterlight, and Kitsch were well thought out and executed in looks, and I found a true trendsetter quality and what they were doing with their fashion. After Like especially, had an apparent high fashion quality and creative styling with an intellectual edge that complemented the music very well. I feel as though IVE's current styling isn't highlighting their high fashion aura and ability to produce something editorial in a musical format. I believe this is unpopular because of the negative response from their previous styling, which I found to be much more unique and iconic, to now, where it's much more praised. Number 7. Songs with shouting in them immediately lowers my opinion. One example is Gorilla by ITZY. I love the song so much, and I'm fine with the screaming parts, but the chorus of tuneless shouting really makes me not like it as much. Many NCT songs also have a lot of shouting in them, and in my opinion, it cheapens the song sometimes. You've been trained so hard, and now the company just has you shouting over songs. I'm tired of it. I don't know when it started to become popular, but it just feels like I'm hearing it everywhere. Some of it I'm okay with, but when someone randomly shouts in the middle of some beautiful vocals, it completely throws it for me. Number 8. Filler members do exist. Filler members do exist, but I think people have varying definitions of what a filler member is, and take the term way too far. To me, a filler member is someone who is not proficient in any of the main 3 skills, who also isn't the center, but visually completes the group, and has a large fan base that likes them enough to stand the group as well. Those idols whose official position is vocalist despite their support range, breath support, and sense of rhythm being subpar at best. Those are filler members. I'd also like to mention that calling someone a filler member isn't the drag you all think it is. I mean, you can say it's a dig at them for being not as talented as the other members, but nearly every group, even the ones who have the most talent, will have a filler member with this definition, and several other ones that I have found to be similar. With that being said, I have seen people take the least skilled member of a group and call them a filler member, when that's not entirely the case a lot of the time. Even groups like Red Velvet have been accused of having filler members. But those idols could just as well be the most skilled person in terms of vocals, dance, or even rap in other groups. So again, not the drag people think it is. Number 9 in final opinion. I wish groups did more ballad B-sides. I've noticed recently, most K-pop albums feel like they don't have any ballads at all. Usually, there are a few subdued songs, but they tend to be more chill and lean toward R&B and electronic stuff. This is a significant departure from second gen, where it felt like each album would have multiple ballads, sometimes even half of the entire album. Even groups that often did dark and cool concepts had a fair share of ballads in their albums, especially slow piano ones, and mid-tempo acoustic rock ones too. We've been in 4th gen for a while, and it feels like a large number of albums just straight up don't have a ballad at all. Instead, they opt for other genres of subdued songs instead for their slower songs. Of course there are still exceptions, but it feels like most newer groups rarely do ballads at all, and if they do it's one every few albums rather than a few on every album. I think this is unpopular since back when ballads were commonplace, people would call them boring or generic. But they were always some of my favorite songs on the albums, and I have not been enjoying listening to K-pop albums nearly as much without them. So what did you think of my points? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.